Gustavo, Eloy hasn't joined the main stage yet. So,
No? Do you hear me?
yes, now I can hear you. Good. All right, Eloy. So I'll introduce you and welcome. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the expert session number 25. And I'm thrilled to introduce you to Eloy Marial, the Chief Digital Officer at Casa del Libro, one of Spain's most iconic bookstore chains. Uh, with a wealth of experience driving digital transformation, Eloy has been at the forefront of integrating digital solutions to enhance both online and in store experiences. Today, he will be sharing his insights on leadership in the digital age, the role of the CDO, and the initiatives at Casa del Libro that are paving the way for future growth. We'll dive into some fascinating discussions, including their partnership, including their marketplace, and the growing relevance of conversational commerce. Again, this session is sponsored by AirMeet, as always, and we'll get started. So, Eloy, welcome. I always start with the same question, which is the big picture. So, how did we get here? Tell us about your journey and why did you end up working in digital commerce?
Yes, of course. First of all, thank you for the invitation. Thank you for your time.
Of course.
Yeah, well, I've been in the digital sector many years ago. I love it because it's very generous. We help each other, at least here in Spain. We have a lot of the people that wants to find a solution, that want to find what is working, any tool, whatever. So I have been in many sectors. I study engineering, but I always been related to business, not to development, not at all. But I know the technology and I love it. And I have been through the different waves of digital. I prefer to call digital not only e-commerce because it's
Mhm.
much more complex. It's a lot of solutions, and I have been since the Web one. Dot, that it was very impressive how Amazon started to work, how many people start to sell products, to see enterprise growing, to see enterprise fail. Then the Web 2, that was social media, of course. There was another revolution with that. Now the Web 3 that is frozen, really, that is like the metaverse is there. There's a lot of interesting things that maybe are not right now in the good moment, but there's another revolution that is with artificial intelligence. So I have been in many sectors learning a lot from travel, retail of educational toys, beauty at Douglas, and now in culture in books. So what I believe is I will try to transmit some of my experience and my
Mhm.
beliefs and why we always the people that works in digital has been seen as freaky, as I told before,
Mhm.
but there is a good reason, or I try to see it in a good way, because there are people learning every day what is happening. All is so fast that we need to connect. We need to help each other, not only in one country, but in some others, because there is a lot to do.
Mhm. Thank you, Eloy. Before we dive into all of those topics, especially technology and future, I'm interested in what drew you to start in retail, like the real origin story. So how did it happen? Why? Out
Well,
of curiosity.
I started working in consultant many
Mhm.
years ago because I studied engineering. So I had the opportunity to start in an enterprise that was international, and I was born in Mexico and studied in Tec de Monterrey. That is a very good school. But I come to Spain with a project, and it was very interesting to see how the best consultant were the ones that were reading a lot of magazines, that were learning about what in that time was e-commerce. So I realized that I needed to be there, to be in some related with internet and with development of e-commerce since the beginning. So I started working in some projects related with the sales of music and cinema as well. It was very interesting because now it doesn't exist any of them. There are streamers, but that was a way to learn. And at the same time, I was studying an MBA. I always say that the engineers that we are square,
Hmm.
we have the possibility to round these
Hmm.
squares with knowledge of marketing, to knowledge of what is happening in terms of business. And that was very interesting to start working much more like manager in a sector that was maybe there was not many people, many old people that knows the technology,
Hmm.
internet, and management. So I started working there, and another consultant. I changed the work in a consultant that was in France and in Spain, of course. And then I changed to an agency, a global agency, very interesting to learn a lot of things, more related with marketing, with creativity, always with digital projects. It was very interesting to see how the campaigns, how the brands need to transmit to connect to with people with normal campaigns. And then I had the opportunity to change to business. My first job related to business was NH Hotels. I was the manager, the director of e-commerce, global e-commerce. That means that I started to work with many European countries. And it was very interesting because you realize that each country is different and you need to adapt your e-commerce, your content, your platform, your payment, everything to each country. So I learned a lot more in a practical way in terms of SEM, SEO. I had a great team there, and I was managing 23 people with a budget of more than 100 millions, and it was very, very interesting to change your mind in much more business related. So that was my first strong work, more related with responsibility of a P&L and with a big team. Then I changed to retail because in NH hotels, there is very interesting sector in travel that it was very good in digital.
Hmm.
But at the end, you don't have the stock, you don't have products, you have uh, rooms to sell, but you don't have a lot of e-commerce related problems like logistic stock. You have prices, but the prices were managed by another big team. In hotels is very, very important. So I changed to a retail that it was Imaginarium, very, very interesting sector. Now it doesn't exist. It's a shame because it was an enterprise with a very good culture and great products because it was educational. And I was there when I was there. Imaginarium was at 28 countries, and we had 11 e-commerce in some different countries, even Russia, Turkey, Italy, a lot of countries, Mexico. So I learned a lot of things, a lot of different things, much more related with the assortment, with the presence rate, things that are very important to sell. And I had a very good time there. Uh, but the educational toys were having a lot of problems because of the digital toys, because of the tablets, because of also the brands more related with some other toys that are not educational. So it was difficult times because the store were closing, even if the e-commerce were selling much more, duplicating the sales. So I had to change to another brand that is called Douglas, that is very powerful in Germany, for example. They sell millions in online for beauty, treatments, perfumes, a lot of things. And it was very interesting. It was a totally different approach, a totally different project that I learned some other things related with pricing, with a very strong competition. Here in Spain, there is totally different from some other countries. Like there are Douglas, there are Sephora, a lot of international players or European players, but here in Spain it's totally different. There is a war of prices led by Primor. For me, it was a case of study to be there. It was very, very interesting projects and learnings from that. And then I changed finally to Casa Libro. It's culture. I love it because one book can change your life,
Hmm.
and because there's an enterprise very oriented to the client. And we forget about names, we forget about omnichannel, unified commerce. What we want is to serve the client. What we want
Mhm.
is that the client has everything very easy in all ways, and that the experience of them could be the best experience
Mhm.
in the stores. If you go to one of our stores, the experience is great because not only the visual, the books that you can find very fast, the recommended books, the most seller, but the people that works there will give you a very personal recommendation because there are people that are reading that no one loves their work. So it's very interesting, and of course the digital team knows it and not only works for the e-commerce. That's why I always prefer to call it digital because
Mhm.
we are thinking always what how we can help our
Mhm.
stores, for example, to do specific localized campaigns so
Mhm.
we can generate affluence to our stores. And then, of course, we measure what is happening. We estimate the sales based on that type of campaigns. And of course, in our web, we always change our functionality to try to be relevant for our clients, not only in the e-commerce channel, but as well in the stores to try to see if the book is available on their store that is closer to them, to try to give a good advice on books, not only based on technology, but also in the human part.
Mhm.
So that's a summarize of what I have been working in some many years. I can speak as well as some other initiatives that are much more personal. I
Mhm.
tried to be in Facebook selling in e-commerce when Facebook started. So it was a very bad time to be there trying to sell when
Mhm.
enterprises didn't know how to be there. That's another topic, another experience, and also some other app that it was working in worldwide. And now, for example, I also try to be connected with the startups to mentors with mentorship to be there to learn from them and to try to give some advice as well. So at the end, this is an ecosystem. You give,
Mhm.
but you receive a lot.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you, Eloy, for sharing his first thoughts. Like in Brazil, we had a bookstore, amazing, um, called Livraria Cultura,
Mhm.
and their demise. I mean, they made several mistakes, but I think one of the big mistakes was that they had this flagship store that was amazing.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you've ever been to São Paulo, but we have an iconic avenue called Paulista Avenue, big avenue. It used to be at least one of the financial centers we had there. So they decided to start opening several flagship stores, like massive, like that one. And I mean, the country did not could not fit, let's say, so many large stores
Mhm.
like that one. So the first question I would have is, what's the typical size of a store that you guys have? How are you guys organized? Like, because I found it so interesting. Like their case, I think they and I mean, yeah, I won't talk so much about my opinions now, but it's really hard, I think, to have such a large bookstore, especially in a country where we don't read so much, Brazil. So that's an important factor to take in consideration. So the store that they had, at least in Paulista, the flagship store, could have been an experiential store where they could host more events and stuff like that, and eventually have smaller stores around the country. But the digital, as you used the word digital several times during your initial thoughts here, could have played a bigger role. Of course, stock is a big problem, was a big problem for them also, and debt that they had with stock. But tell me a little bit about how you guys are organized in terms of stores and some of the initiatives that you have in terms of experience and how digital plays that role for what you guys are doing today.
Yes, of course. And I will tell you in terms of some numbers. For example, we can have a 2 million assortment. That is huge. That
Mhm.
is totally different from some other sectors that you have 100,000 thousand references. We have 2 millions. But of course, in a bookstore, you can have 100,000 references, and it's a big store. For example, we have our flagship in Gran Via. There is a great store, very big, very powerful experience when you are there. There are people that comes from Madrid and goes to see the library. That is very, very, very good experience, very interesting. And of course, we have so many other libraries in some other places in a very good location. That means that we are convenience for people. We need to study if it's better to be in a commercial center or if it's better to be in a street. And this is a topic that all retailers have. That is, they need to have maybe a flagship.
Mhm.
Of course, you need to try to that this flagship sells enough in order to be profitable.
Mhm.
Of course, there are brands that gets to get it, and there are some other brands that didn't get it.
Mhm.
Fortunately, we have all our libraries in a very good shape with very good numbers. And of course, in retail, you need to balance between the big stores and the small store, but to always be convenient with people.
Mhm.
Here in Spain, the index of lecture has grown. For us, it's a great news. There are some great news that people are reading more, and the sector that is growing much more are young people with
Mhm.
young novels. And for us, it's the best news that we can have. That people is reading more, and the young people is reading more. So in retail, you need to balance, and you need to be very clever to find your locations and to know if there's enough demand to open another store or not. That's a specific strategic topic that all the retailers need to have. And if you can help it with digital solutions, for example, if you are in one store and there is there isn't your book that you are trying to find, but they connect immediately to see in the central assortment if you can have the book. You can tell the client you can have it in your place in the same store. You can have it in your home if you want it, or they can connect also with some other libraries, with some other stores. So that's why I call digital, because you need to prepare all your system, all your solutions, and all your process. That is the most difficult things in terms of retail, to be oriented to the client and to have solutions.
Mhm.
So maybe you can have a very small store, but connected with all the assortment. You should find a way to sell what you have, even if you don't have this specific reference in that store.
Perfect. And tell me a bit about then. So I'm curious about, let's say, customer acquisition for you guys. How does it work? Do you How many stores do you have today in Spain? How do you acquire customers? I think that's important topic also because, let's say, during the pandemics, customer acquisition, at least when you look at paid media, went through the roof. The costs, everybody started doing it. But I think there are so many other ways to acquire customers. Like in our case, we are a community. I believe in that. Word of mouth events. Now we're starting our offline events, and I don't see that it should be very different for a business. It just depends on the size of the business, but the ideas are there, right? So tell us a bit about the customer acquisition. How you guys go about that, please?
Yes, of course. In that topic, you need to optimize all channels.
Mhm.
For me, the best way to do it is to try to optimize each channel individually, and then, of course, the sum of all channels will be bigger. So, in that terms, what you need to do is, first of all, you need to take care of your clients. So that means that CRM needs to be oriented to our clients, to our club, to our fidelity clients, even if they are on the web, on e-commerce, on the stores, or clients that are omnichannel.
Mhm.
So at the end, you need to take care of those clients that are the more loyalty for you, with a very good journeys defined, with solutions, and CRMs needs to support all the topics related with e-commerce, but also to stores. Of course, you need to do SEM normally. That is a need that you have, and to optimize in a good level so you don't spend more money that you can spend. But you need to spend money, and that's a need that we all the business have. And of course, you try to improve your own channels like direct or SEO, because that's very important that you have relevance to the clients because of your assortment, because of your content, because of the good positions in the engines.
Mhm.
So also uh, those are the digital normal channels. Of course, you can have a little bit more like retargeting, or you can have affiliation, but it's very important that your awareness of that the awareness of the brand is good. And that
Mhm.
depends on all the areas, not only for e-commerce, but that depends on marketing, that depends on the experience on the stores. So you
Mhm.
need to take care of the awareness that the people see you as a relevant brand.
Mhm.
Even some other digital channels like Google, not Google Shopping, Google Business,
Mhm.
that you need to be with good reviews in Google Business, because people
Yeah.
try to find a book, or try to find a library, or try to find a store in any sector, and the first thing that they will see are where is the closest store near
Mhm.
them,
Mhm.
and the reviews, if it's good or not.
Yeah.
So each retailer needs to take care or of all the channels, of the possible channels, not only the sales channels, that the web's functionality is good, that the experience in the store is good, but also, for example, what type of content are in social media, what type of content are in Google My Business. That is
Mhm.
very important to have very good reviews, a lot of reviews, the most that you can have, and the better in stars, the better for your awareness and for people to trust you. Because at the end, people can find you anyway in a lot of
Mhm.
things. There are a lot of ways to get to people, even in Instagram, even in TikTok. So in each channel that you have, in each communication that you have, you need to try to transmit the good message.
You mentioned you guys have a club, right?
Yes,
Um, so tell me about the role of this club and how strategic the club is for Casa del Libro.
for us, it's very important to take care of our clients. And depending on the channel, we have a lot of sales related with the people that already belongs to the club. We have three different type of members. And what we try to give them is some benefits depending on the level of the, and we have defined a lot of customer journeys depending on which level you are. And of course, the advantage, the discounts that need to be prepared for our clients, for our members. So in the stores, the people normally bought a book, and if he or she identifies as a member, he has more advantage, and that's part of our work to try to be connected with our clients.
Very nice. Eloy, we also spoke offline that we would speak about the role of the CDO, right? So you're a
Yeah,
CDO, you have this incredible breadth of experience. You've worked for the hospitality industry, like a toy retailer, now a book store, which in my opinion is a retailer, but it's also an experiential sort of place, right? You offer experiences there. And tell me a bit about your role as a CDO. And I'll tell you why I'm asking this question. I've worked for a co-CEO of a tech company called Vtex, very interesting guy, Mariano, and he was talking about why companies they should have that was his view, like a mirror. So if you had a CEO, like a normal CEO who understands about the numbers and all of that, you should have a mirror, a tech CEO who understands about the tech aspect of the company and architecture, because then they could have a decent conversation. Like in government, when you see, for example, and I think it makes sense, right? In government, sometimes when you look at Mark Zuckerberg and he's being summoned like the questions that he's receiving from the Senate and all of that are really basic questions because people don't have the basic knowledge of how technology works, and this is just going to get worse and worse with the rise of AI. And so,
Yeah.
but going back to the company, tell me a bit about your role as a CDO, why that matters, and what do you think it's the role of a CDO today?
Look, that topic is it could be very polemic because
Mhm,
here in Spain, it doesn't exist a lot of formal chief detail officers or
mhm,
CDOs. I know two or three people that has it for real in the name of the work that they are doing. For
mhm,
example, I'm working here as an equivalent, but this is director of e-commerce and digital. The problem is that for many years, the digital belongs to any area. In some enterprise, digital belongs or e-commerce belongs to marketing. In
mhm,
some others belongs to commercial. In some others belong to operations.
mhm,
Fortunately, and for me, I have worked in many companies that normally belongs to the C level. The
mhm,
digital people belongs to the C level, and it's the best way for me. Not because I work like this, but because you realize that you can give much more possibilities when you are in a C level, when you can discuss with your partners possible solutions, not only for one channel but for all the channels, and to provide the experience in order to have a transversal solution for CRM, for client attention, for even the omnichannel functionalities, and that works. If you are part of the board member, finally you can show some solutions that are very good for enterprises. Pure Plays knows it a lot. Pure Plays have worked with artificial intelligence in many years ago. And now the enterprise, they are trying to find how to work with artificial intelligence. And I
mhm,
will divide artificial intelligence into different blocks. That is one for very formal, that is you need data science, that you need knowledge even in Python, in R, and you need knowledge in machine learning for some projects that you need to use your own data to predict or to have some specific solution. And there are some other blog that is for the Gen AI that is now a revolution and is very interesting. But the enterprise they are trying to find the way to use it and they don't know. So for me, the chief digital officer needs to be the connection between business, between technology, and between what is happening outside
mhm,
of the enterprise in order to implement or try to help in process, in technology, and in people. And that's the digital transformation. And that's why the chief digital officer is so important. In some other countries, you can find that there are few people working as a chief digital officers. There are candidates that are very, very, how to say it, that the enterprise want to work with some of them.
mhm,
And for example, in USA, there are some masters specific, very good universities, specifically for chief digital officers
mhm,
that tells you the chief detail officer works in big enterprise with a lot of return or salary. But for me, the vision is that the enterprise need to see um, what they can have. If they have a people that understand the business, understand the technology with that kind of experience that can help the enterprise to grow. Because pure players knows it and they have take all the advantage to grow because of the technology, but because of the talent of the people.
at Casa del Libro, what do you guys are using today, or some use cases that you have in terms of AI, artificial intelligence? Yesterday, I was listening to a podcast by Lex Friedman. I'm not sure if you follow him. Very interesting. And some guy sent him a question saying, "Hey, I'm a programmer, software engineer,
Yeah,
like program, and I'm concerned. I'm getting anxious because nowadays, when you look at coding, there are some LLMs, like GPTs and large language models doing a very good job in terms of writing code." And Lex said, I also get anxious, but I think we're going to move from execution people to being more like architects. And I thought it was a very interesting view, because I'm using AI as well in my day to day, like ChatGPT. I cannot be as productive anymore. So my role as a content creator of sorts is to understand how that machine works, so I can give the right input and create nice texts, create creative texts. And I'm curious as in how you guys are using, if you have any use cases, if you look for benchmark as well, benchmarks in and in other sectors eventually, so you can innovate as well and bring innovation to Casa del Libro.
Yeah, of course. Like I told you before, I see that the artificial intelligence needs to be divided into. We are using artificial intelligence in a very formal, very interesting projects with our own data to predict the demand and to use it to buy the smartest way with less money and to sell more. And that's incredible. That's
Mhm.
very good. But then we are using Gen AI in our daily basis in many things, not only content. For content, we have tried it, but we also believe that mix with human content, of course, and with curated content. But we are using artificial intelligence to optimize campaigns, for example, even if we are using a tool that is using artificial intelligence, or our own people using GPT to optimize some specific words, to optimize some specific process that they have. And it's very interesting because we have people that has GPT Enterprise and is using it in a different way. We have some other people that has Copilot, the advanced version, to try to use it to summarize the emails, to clusterize some specific topics, to have a very fast resume. So I can tell you that you can use artificial intelligence in your daily basis, in your day by day. For example, I was preparing a Power BI model, and I have some difficulties to get the information, to get the data, because it wasn't working. The DAX language works in some way out of the transformation, but in the transformation, there is another query language that it doesn't work the same functions. So I copy, for example, the screen, even if in image, and I ask GPT, solve it, please find me the solution. And and it gives me the solution with the code, specific code that I can use. So I will tell you that you can use artificial intelligence in your daily basis, and it depends on your imagination and how to use it. For example, for marketing, maybe you don't have the specific image to use it in a campaign, but you can have for your briefing much more accurate
Mhm.
that to order or to ask for something that you want, and you can ask it with very prices, very precise and very accurate text and image to tell
Mhm.
what you want. So there's a lot of possibilities. There's a lot of possibilities. Uh, what I will say is that maybe you need to create a board based on artificial intelligence, that people that knows artificial intelligence get to other areas and
Mhm.
try to find the best way to use it in each area.
Do you think it's very dystopic to think that we should have an artificial intelligence committee in every department of an organization, like
Totally.
finance, even the CEO, so we can talk, right, and be more agile and think about these things? And
Of course, because there is a lot of tools, because there is a
Mhm.
lot of possibilities, so you don't find all the time to do it by yourself. I try,
Mhm.
but and I love it. But at the end, you need more people to be like
Yeah.
you to lead that
Mhm.
transformation.
Mhm. Super interesting. Nice. We have so just to our members always jump in, which is very cool. That's something I love about these talks. So I'm going to invite the first one, which is Alexia from, let me just see, from Romania. She will be, just a moment, Alexia, jumping in and asking you a question on stage. So invite as a speaker. She's joining in. Yeah. Alexia, you're there? Yes, she's there. All
Ah,
right.
can you
Welcome.
hear and see me?
Yeah, we can.
I thank you so much, Eloy, for the overview of what you have achieved until now. I feel like your background is really interesting because it's very techy. And what I wanted to ask you, actually, I have two questions, but the first one would be when you joined the company, like what were the immediate actions that you took to help out? Because I'm sure the company had some challenges. You were hired for this specific role that the company didn't do until then. Like, what were the first things that you found the company needed?
When you are in a company, first of all, you need to try to understand the sector. So if you can find people not from your area, from retail, that that, that tells you how it works, you will have a very good knowledge of the sector. And with your team, first of all, you need to take a picture. What all the team is doing right now, you don't change in one day. What you do is try to organize with one vision, of course, because I have some experience, some other enterprises, and what I do is to try to draw all the projects and prioritize the projects because there are two lines: effort and return. And if you draw all the projects that you have, you need to take decisions on which project will be the best for the next 2 years. And you will find the answer with the help of your team, taking decisions maybe to stop some projects that are not good enough for the enterprise because it cannibalizes a lot of resources with a very low return. And then to find the projects that are good, that are working, that are planned right now, or even maybe to find a new project that is not in the roadmap, but it could be a, um, a good project, a winner. First of all, you need to find quick wins. Quick win is something that you change very fast and give you results to gain credibility because all we that works in an enterprise need to gain credibility to show that we can do things, that we can change, that we can take decisions, that we can get results. Now you once that you have the credibility, you can do much more complex projects.
Yeah, if you were just hired and started doing a task that would have taken like 2 years, it would have been pretty hard, right?
That's right. So you need to do something fast, like a quick win, some decisions that can show that you can have good results. And for me, it's always drive oriented in data drive oriented, because
Okay.
the numbers give you the solution. The numbers tells you what to do.
Yeah. Could you be able to share a couple of that quick wins that worked for you at the moment?
It depends on the enterprise. Of course, if you are in a new sector, you need to see what they are doing, and I need to see much more detail of each enterprise to give you one specific quick win, for example. But maybe it's that your search engine is not working, so you need to change it very fast, and maybe not that the development team is thinking, but with a tool, with an external tool, and then you have it very fast, 1 month, 2 months, for example. It depends on the enterprise, but there is a lot of solutions.
Yeah, I'm definitely sure. And I was just wondering if you found any kind of resistance from the team because you coming out in a new position with like new ideas and basically analyzing everything the company is doing. There were probably some of them may have taken this as a little bit of a challenge. Did you have any kind of
It
moments when the team was a little bit
no,
hard on you or
not at all. Of
no?
course, it depends on the enterprise. It depends on the team. I have been received very well in many of the teams that I've been working. But if you have maybe one people that doesn't believe, you need to show your knowledge. You need to show the technical knowledge, but also the expertise that you have in some other enterprise. So it's the same like the projects. You need to find a project so the enterprise trusts in you. That's the same way with the team. You need to show that something is going to work, and once it works, of course, they will believe in you.
Yeah, you need that kind of credibility. It's something that happens here because we are based, sometimes we are changing the platform for the clients, and like their team has been used to working with the previous platform, and
Yeah.
when switching to a new one, they can come off a little bit not very happy about it, and then we need
My
to.
advice will be to give a small change before a
Mhm.
big change.
Yeah, and probably like trainings and highlighting the value of the new product, and you know, highlighting what you're gonna help.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I feel like this have been my questions for now. I'm gonna leave everyone else to
Thank
and get
you.
the opportunity to answer questions.
Thanks, Alexia. We have
Thank
now
you.
Hawan who would like to join us. So Hawan, he's joining us on stage.
Thank you.
He's on the back. He's at the backstage. Just a moment. I think he's been moved to the main stage. Oh, right. Perfect. I'll move him. No worries, Gustavo. Yeah.
I- Okay,
Welcome, Hawan. Go
thank
ahead.
you. Hey, Eloy, great session. Thank you for sharing your great experience. Um, I made some notes during your talk. Really interesting. When you talk about the omni-channel, the CDO, the AI. But the thing that I found most interesting is what you said about the e-commerce is connected directly to the C level of the company. That makes for me a lot of sense because we see so many branches that has some intern fights because the e-commerce is just see as just one more store, and like it was fighting against the physical ones. So I'd like to hear a little bit more about that from your point of view. I saw your LinkedIn that you started in Casa del Libro just in the middle of the pandemic, and that Casa del Libro has at least now more than 50 stores. So if you could share a little bit how was this situation during the pandemic and this connection directly to the C level and some successful cases. Thank you.
Yes, of course. Um, when the COVID and the pandemic, the only channel that works for enterprise was online. So they realized that online is important. But fortunately, here at Casa Libro, even before I arrived, they were working in a very good way in terms of the digital. There's an enterprise that have been working for many years, and fortunately, I can work with a C level because that's how I like to work. I can tell you, if the e-commerce of the digital is not in the C level, don't work for that enterprise. They don't deserve, because that that will be a problem for you. That will be a problem to defend the projects, that maybe you need to change something in logistic and you don't have the weight because you are not in the C level. Of course, you need to gain that C level. You need to gain it with data. You need to gain it with the understanding the perfectly a P&L, to take decisions, to manage a team. Of course, it's not easy and it's not free. But I can tell you, the enterprise that they have realized that the digital talent needs to be in a C level. And those are the enterprise that deserves to work with that kind of people, that kind of talent. Otherwise, it will be very hard for you and even for them, because if they don't believe not only in digital but in technology, for example, the enterprise that doesn't invest in that type of solutions and that type of talent, that will be very hard from them.
Um,
So
yeah,
you need to work in an enterprise that really believes in that type of uh, people.
Thank you, Eloy.
yeah. I think we had a little bit of bandwidth variation, but
I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes, yes. If I got it right, you need people who believe in the vision. That right, Eloy?
Okay.
Yeah.
No, that's it. That's it. I was.
Perfect. Thank you. Hawan, any other questions? Let me just see if we have more questions here. Sorry, I was on a call. Had to drop the call. My apologies. Yeah, Antonio had to leave. Do you have any questions, Hawan? You're welcome.
No, was I just was want to know more about that. And how was the experience during the pandemic?
I when I was in the pandemic, I was in another enterprise, but I have already some conversations with Casa del Libro.
Mhm.
It was very hard because it was the only channel you work from since the beginning of the early morning and in the night, in Saturdays, Sundays, because it was the only possibility to get revenue.
Yeah.
But it was interesting. At the end, you learn from that, and you prepare yourself in terms of knowledge, and enterprise also prepare for the future. There is a very interesting thing that enterprise that didn't go out well from the pandemic, they fail and they are closing or are already closed.
Mhm. Sweet. Thank you. Thanks, Hawan. So
Thank
the
you.
questions, we have actually two final questions, which is preparing the future generations, right, Eloy? So in terms of preparing the future generations, first off, what advice would you give someone in their 20s or in their early career now, looking to start in the job market, with all of the things that are starting? Like, I'm from 85, 39 years old. You know, when I started in my career, I mean, Facebook was in its early stages, and now we're seeing artificial intelligence and all of that, coming up. So, what advice would you give a young professional, someone in their early stages of their career?
If I can give one advice, like there is a speech, very interesting speech, that is wear sunscreen. Maybe you can
Hmm.
find it in, in YouTube. But for real, if I can give one advice, that will be the one that knows something the most that you can. That means that if you like social media, look, if you like digital, if you like Web3, if you like Bitcoin or artificial intelligence, be the one who knows everything or most that you can in order to translate that knowledge in solution.
Hmm.
So you need to find a topic that passionate you with that, even whatever it is. But try to find something that you are the one that knows the most of compared with anyone else in the world. But be the one who knows something specific very much, whatever is the topic.
Do you what's your take on education? Perhaps going to university. I
I,
think it's important. I think it's important, just to
I've been
bridge here.
educated in a traditional way, very good university, Tec de
Mhm.
Monterrey, elitist, expensive, and then the master. But I can tell you that the things that I have learned are not in the university.
Mhm.
So now you can learn a lot of things. Try to find the good sources because there is a lot of information. You need to find the best sources to get the best knowledge. For example, for programming, I am not telling you that you don't need to study, but I'm telling you that you need to balance between one thing and the other. The
Mhm.
knowledge that I have acquired in artificial intelligence, I have studied 2 masters of artificial intelligence, 3 masters of artificial intelligence, and the most knowledge that I have known is testing tools. It's seeing reels in Instagram, in TikTok related with artificial intelligence, because the algorithm knows that if you like something, you can have another content with that. So if you like a topic, if you are a gardener, if you are whatever, find the best sources of that knowledge.
I think that's great advice. So you're actually saying be curious as well, right? Go after the knowledge and experiment
Totally.
with yourself. I'm very big on that. You know, like I believe that universities are great places to perhaps understand how do you socialize. You know, I think there's the the people before the pandemic, and we had a generation who they had to graduate during the pandemic. You know, and they kind of missed that experience of getting to know how to talk to people. So they had this, right? And that's a pity, I think. So the university, in my opinion, is a great place to understand how to network and to understand the foundation of how to study, maybe how to organize your thinking. But I'm very big on what you're saying. So be curious and go after the sources. And you can only, I mean, I learned a bunch about LinkedIn, and it's been by experimentation. You know, like, so how do you write copy? How do you now? How do you use ChatGPT? What tools have you been using, Eloy? What have you been playing with? You mentioned Bitcoin as well. So you know, are
I
you?
have played with many things that you can imagine. I mean, there's a lot of possibilities, there's a lot of solutions. I have been very close to Web3. I tried to do something in crypto as well. And now I'm testing all the tools that I can with Gen AI, even it's for music, Suno, even it's for image, not only the very well known, but there's some other try to test uh, a new model of artificial intelligence to train it, to use it. So there is a lot of possibilities. I can tell you some specific. You can use Magnific. You can use Midjourney. You can use Bing Image Creator. You can use Vertex from Google. Of course, ChatGPT. But there are a lot of possibilities. Try to find some of them, and then try to find the how it works and how it helps the enterprise. There's a lot of people that are very good technically, but they don't have the business
Mhm.
oriented vision. If you don't have it, try to evolve in that way, try to acquire that business vision, or if not, try to find a people that helps you with the
Mhm.
business vision. If you are a very good programmer, if you are a very good technical guy, try to build a team. You are not always alone. There are people that can do it by themselves, but normally try to find people that has the same curiosity as you. It doesn't matter the age, it doesn't matter the country, but try to create a team multidisciplinary that you can be the technical, the other can be the business oriented. There are a lot of possibilities with the new revolution that is now. The new digital for me is artificial intelligence.
Appreciate it. We just have a final question, I believe, from Eddie Hung. Eddie Hang. He's actually a new member, and Eddie basically he led a big team, big social and web search at SAP Asia and Pacific. You guys should connect afterwards. He's asking about what are the bandwidth for experimental projects you have at Casa del Libro, because he's building a new sort of marketplace uh, with object concept, with semantic AI and all of that. So he's asking about experimental projects that you have. Could you comment on that, and then we'll wrap this up.
Yes, we have some, not a lot, because there is a lot of work always to do.
Mhm.
But like I said before, related with the artificial intelligence, we're trying to see, for example, we can have some recommendations or not. We have tried some things. We try to see the balance between the total artificial intelligence and also the curated content. So in that way, we are always working. Also, in order to optimize campaigns, we try a little bit some tools, sometimes some other channels, some other tools in the retargeting. In e-commerce, there is not only solution. There is not that everything is now done and you sit there and realize that you are selling. No, it's evolving. So you need to always try to see the new solutions, try to find new ones, try to consolidate the ones that you have already developed. And that's why I love my work, because it's always changing and you need to study almost every day.
Mhm.
I mean, that's very interesting.
Perfect. We have a final, sorry, we have final question, I promise you.
Okay.
It's here. From a business and marketing perspective, when does it make sense for a small or mid-sized e-commerce company to consider expanding into offline channels, such as opening a flagship store?
For me, offline is always needed. It's always needed. I mean, even only the pure players are only online. But for me, if you want to create a brand, you
Mhm.
need a store. And there are many, many examples. Even if you sell hamburgers, they were selling in Visio, were selling in online because of the Globo, for example. They were very good, but they need to have a store. Hawkers, they were selling online, but they realized that the retail is complementary. People see your brand, and there are a lot of people trying to see if it's good or not. So you need to create a good experience. Of course, it's not easy, but I will say that there is very, very need offline experience and combined experience. If you belong to online, you have a lot of opportunities, you have a lot of advantage because all your systems are integrated. If you start with a store and then wants to be online, there will be very difficult because of the legacy systems. But if you are online, there are a lot of examples, even in sports brands, that they begin in online and then realize that retail stores complement the offer that they have. So go for
Amazing.
it, I
Yeah,
will say.
perfect. All right. So today that was it. Eloy Marial covering a whole bunch in terms of leadership, the role of the CDO, his journey at Casa del Libro. Eloy, I mean, for the Evolve members, I mean, they are in our WhatsApp channel. If they can reach out, I think WhatsApp is a good channel, or LinkedIn, of course. But for who's watching this session on LinkedIn, never saw you, what's the best way to reach out and learn more from you?
Yes, maybe in LinkedIn, WhatsApp, you don't have always the time to read all.
Yeah.
But if you want to contact me, please try to be brief and say a direct message.
Mhm.
Just in any case that I can help. That's it.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Eloy.
Thank you very much,
Thanks.
Carlos, and all the community. Thank you very much.
All right. So I'll catch you now. Yes, pausing.